Hey guys, welcome back to another video. You guys chose which video is going up today. So today we're going to be exploring the world of notching. The reason that I didn't include this in my original propagation video is because I didn't have a ton of experience with it around that time, and I didn't feel comfortable talking about it so matter-of-factly or like try and teach you guys anything if I didn't feel comfortable with it myself. So a few years have passed since then. I have done this quite a few times since then. So now is the time, and I have two perfect specimens to show you guys today as an example. I'm going to show you a plant that I have already notched, and then we're going to notch on camera, and I'm going to show you how to do it. I feel like there's fuzz on my face. So if you don't know what notching is, it is essentially a form of propagation where you can encourage growth along the stem or on any, on any part of a plant without actually severing the entire stem from the plant. You just create these small incisions that force the plant into fight or flight. It makes it feel like it's under attack and that it needs to push out new growth. So I know that sounds really mean. It kind of is. And did you guys see that article that's like going around everywhere where they're saying that like when you cut a plant that it actually lets out this really quiet scream? That's really sad. We're gonna just get started. The first plant that I'm gonna show you is my philodendron postazanum. Feast your eyes on this, guys. It's delicious, so delicious. So this is the source of spider mites in my entire house. The reason why I haven't just let this like chop the whole top off is because I am trying out these new mites that are supposed to eat spider mites, although they're not waking up, and I don't know if it was in the fridge for too long. My friend Jing is the one that ordered them, and I didn't pick it up until like a week later. So it was in the fridge for like a week, and I don't know if they're alive, but I wanted to save the spider mites for them as a delicious meal, and no mites are awake. So anyway, besides that, yeah, this guy has just suffered from spider mites, and this is not really a plant that I have been actively trying to grow large and whatever. At a certain point when I realized that this plant hated me, I was like, you know what, this is the perfect opportunity to film my notching video, because look at this chunk of a stem. So I'm gonna put this down in case it spills, but I have already started the notching process. So you can kind of see I have these incisions along the plant. There are currently 3 incisions. This one right here is waking up, although waking up very slowly. And I think it's because it's like constantly trying to push out a new leaf from the top, and then it keeps getting attacked by spider mites. So there's not a ton of like energy pulsating through this thing, and I think it's just being overexerted, overextended. Sniffles McGee is home, so if you can hear sniffling, it's Vince. So anyway, when you notch along a plant, it's not guaranteed that you're gonna wake up every growth point that you're trying to activate. Sometimes only 1 will activate, sometimes you'll get 2, sometimes you'll get none. In my experience, it's not like guaranteed, but as long as you have a plant that has a healthy root system and you know for sure it is alive, you can usually get at least 1 growth point to wake up. And in this case, it looks like this one right here is on the move the most. I thought that there was another growth point waking up, but the other ones look kind of dormant. I think right now the plant is just focusing on this top growth and this one right here. So it's been kind of a while, but it is starting to protrude a bit more every single day. So I just want to teach you guys how to do this because it's super easy. It requires very little. It's an easy way to fill in a plant that is leggy like this. And I'm going to show you one that I'm going to work on today. This is my philodendron quillelii round. If you guys remember from, I can't remember which video it is now, but I was showing you guys like my ugly leaves, or not my ugly leaves, but just like my ugly plants. And this was one of them because it was just this really long stem and like a single leaf that was really ugly. I think it was actually this leaf right here. because I had been struggling with the leaves melting, and I don't know what it was, but after that video went up, it just kind of sorted itself out and started holding on to its leaves. So I decided to start air layering it with some soil and tree fern fiber and pon. So you can kind of see I have a little stick in here that goes through the entire cup and supports the stem. And then I have added some Velcro tape down at the bottom so that the cup doesn't fall, and then also secured it with this Velcro tie. And so the way that I did the cup was literally just like cut a line down one side and through the bottom, and then I cut a circle around the bottom. Not too big, just enough for the stem to go through. Oh my gosh, Vince. Sorry, I don't remember what I was saying because I went up and tried to close everything so that I'm getting so distracted by the sniffling, you guys, like not even funny. So yeah, that's the air layering situation for this plant. Now, today I'm actually going to be cutting it so that I can start notching this bottom. It's not a huge stem, but I think it's gonna be enough to just kind of show you guys how I do it. So, and I can actually also probably notch this one more, but I don't want to stress it out more than it already is because it's kind of struggling as it is to like push out growth from what I've already notched. So, the first thing that we're going to do is chop this top. I'm probably gonna make a mess, but you know, comes with the territory. I have just accepted that cleaning soil and crap off my floors is just part of my job description now. And once I've changed my state of mind, it's a little bit easier to accept. But hopefully this whole thing doesn't come crashing down. I'm gonna move you guys down so that you can actually see what I'm doing. I think this is the best angle I'm gonna get. So the first thing I'm going to do is chop, but I'm gonna sterilize my shears first. I'm just using rubbing alcohol to sterilize my shears. And then I'm just gonna pull the stick out. Ooh. I was supposed to grab another cup to put it in so it doesn't spill out, but now we are separated. So what I'm gonna do first is take a wet towel and I'm just gonna wrap it around this stem and leave it for maybe about 10 minutes. If you have 10 minutes, that's even better. But yeah, I just want to basically get those sheaths really wet and soft. If you're new here, this is an earwax scraper, and this is what I use to clean my plants and help leaves that are stuck and stuff, and it is the most useful tool I feel in the entire plant hobby. Like, this thing is, ever since I discovered this, I just can't imagine this hobby without it. So yeah, hopefully these sheaths are soft enough. If not, I'm just gonna force them off. Sorry, I have to take Pudge to an appointment in about 20 minutes, so I'm a little bit pressed for time here, but I wanted to film while the sun was still up. So what I'm gonna do is just remove as much of the brown sheath as possible. And of course, you just wanna be very, very careful when doing this because you don't want to damage any of the auxiliary buds. Although I have before like cut into an auxiliary bud and thought that I had ruined any chances of any growth coming out of it, and growth came out of it. I'm not saying that that's going to happen every time, but seriously, plants will freaking surprise you. And the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to uncover exactly where these auxiliary buds are so that I know where I'm making my incisions. And I think on this plant, I'm going to attempt to activate 2 auxiliary buds. You don't want to be too, chop happy, not chop happy, but you don't want to get too notch happy because you know, your plant only has so much energy in it. And sometimes if you try and activate too many, it just, I don't know, sort of sends it into a frenzy. I've done that before where I tried to activate every single growth point and then none of them woke up. So I find that if you're, you know, kind of fair in your expectations relative to the size of the stem you're working with, you'll have better success that way. So it looks like I got pretty much all of the sheaths off, and I'm going to just identify the 2 auxiliary buds that I want to activate. I don't know if this is going to help. Oh, it does. This is a really sucky microscope. What is this? What is this? Magnifying glass. Jeez Louise. Okay, we're gonna get really close here. So I think the one that I want to try and activate is one at the top. I can see one very, very clear, healthy auxiliary bud right here. Oh, sorry, maybe this isn't helping because of the glare. Right there, I wanna do that one. And then maybe one down at the bottom. I can see an auxiliary bud down here as well. This guy down here. So I think those are the 2 that I'm going to go for. Normally I would use an X-Acto knife, but I don't have a clean blade. So I'm just going to be using a box cutter. And again, I'm going to sterilize it. The reason that you want to add some kind of plastic or something, it's typically plastic. I'm sterilizing it as well. The reason you want to add some kind of barrier in that incision is because you don't want the wound to heal on itself, because then it's going to be like, oh, we're fine. I don't need to push out any growth. But when it has like that permanent incision, it activates that fight or flight over a longer period of time. So yeah, essentially it's just to prevent the healing process. So all I need are 2 little sheets. I don't need it to be large, just enough to stick into the cut. All right, so like I said, we're gonna do the top one first. And I like to cut it right below the growth point. It's almost like you're tricking it, because let's say if I actually chopped this, then yes, this would activate, and that's kind of like the most normal kind of propagation method that we're used to. But you want to just cut it and leave it on the stem, but you want to trick it into thinking it's been chopped completely. So what I'm going to do is, again, here's my growth point. I'm going to get as close as possible to this growth point, but not severing into the node itself. So I'm going to go right about here. I'm going to go sort of at a, what is it, like a 45-degree angle. And please be very, very careful. For a stem this size, I'm probably only going to do about 1/4 inch. And I'm just pushing into the stem. You don't need to use a lot of force. And then right away, I'm going to take my little sheet and I'm going to stick it into there. And you know what? I can actually go deeper. I feel like I can probably sever into like half of the stem. And then stick this in. Like that. It's honestly, it's so easy. It's like foolproof. And then I'm gonna do that bottom auxiliary bud, which is, where did I? This guy right here. So I'm just gonna do the same thing. It's a little trickier though, because it's like in the pot, but I'm gonna make it work. And the bottom one is done. You honestly, you just leave it like this and you let it do its thing. Make sure that you keep watering it. Obviously, you're not gonna water it the way that you would when it has leaves, because there's no leaves for the water to be uptaken. So you wanna lessen the watering, or you can even repot it into a smaller vessel, chop off some roots, because the roots that are in here are the roots that sustained a larger plant. I'm just leaving it because I leave this in a very, very bright place. I understand my watering conditions, and I'm just going to cut back on watering a little bit since it is in such a large vessel. So that's how you notch a philodendron. It's really honestly the same concept as doing it with anthuriums. I mentioned this in another video, but again, I don't recommend this. But if you want an easy way to fill in an anthurium, like if it's getting really, really top heavy, and it's got like a long stem, my first suggestion would be to size up the pot, or to use like a pot extender, like where you can add a like a lazy strap around the stem and fill it with whatever your substrate of choice, and you essentially extend the substrate up the stem. But if you don't want to do that, and you just want to activate some kind of growth point on that stem, you just break off the cataphyll. And it's a very painful thing. No one wants to break off a cataphyll, but it's once you break off that top cataphyll, it's going to activate a growth point somewhere else. And I think I have an example to show you of that. So if you guys remember, this is my Anthurium Pappy hybrid from Indonesia. And I was working real hard to get this guy to size up, and then I broke the cataphyll off. You can see up here, the cataphyll just completely snapped off, and it's now black and somewhat dead looking, but it activated a growth point down at the bottom. Oh my God. So that got activated where you see this new leaf that did not waver in size, and it also activated a secondary growth point right there, and then a third one, whoa, down there. But look at this new leaf on the secondary growth point down at the bottom. It's like it never like lost its cataphyll at all, and I thought that this new leaf was going to be a lot smaller, and it's not. It seems like it's gonna be maybe comparable in size, if not a little smaller. It's still very, very soft. Like it's got kind of a ways to go, I think still in terms of growth, but if anything, it might be just as large as the leaf up at the top. But all that to say, if you break off the cataphyll of an anthurium, it will activate, I wanna say at least one growth point on that stem. So you can give that a try. If not, you can also notch. I don't want to necessarily notch this plant because it's already got so much going on, but let's see if I can find an anthurium to play around with. Not the ideal plant to mess around with, because if you know me, you know my track record with the clarinervium. This one is pushing out. Why are all of my anthuriums pushing out inflows? Like, you guys are little horny bastards. I need you to just work on leaves. We're not doing any sex. Honestly, I have no plans of hybridizing any of my plants anytime soon. I am still recovering from my last batch of seedlings, which was like taking care of like 10 million newborns. So anywho, crap, this one's pushing out a new leaf. We're gonna do it anyway, because we're here, we're gonna do it. I gotta leave soon. I can't really see my viewfinder all that well, but hopefully you guys are able to see something. So I'm gonna remove a little bit of this moss up at the top. We have a very, very long stem here, and I'm actually surprised that it has not pushed out any roots, given that there was moss up at the top, but I think it's because the moss is always dry. I'm going to sterilize my tools again because working on a different plant. By the way, I'm actually pretty good about sterilizing my tools. I just don't show it on camera. I usually do it between takes, and I get roasted for not sterilizing my tools, but like, honestly, is it really that deep? If you want to know, yes, I do sterilize. Am I the most diligent at it? No. Do I care? No. So I'm just scraping off. Normally I would do the method where I put the paper towel, because I find it easier to remove these sheaths when it's like wet, but I gotta take my boy to his vet appointment. He is getting another round of allergy shots. He's getting his nails trimmed. He is having this weird, he has like this weird, I thought they were hot spots, but they're like little tiny scabs all over his belly. And they've just like, yeah, scabbed over, and it's kind of gross. Before, we already took him to see a vet once about it, but he only had one spot and now he has a bunch. So I've been getting a little bit worried, and I just hope that's not like a sign of something underlying, because when it comes to health issues with Pudge, that is like my #1 biggest fear. Anyway, so I've got a majority of the sheaths peeled off. It is a bit harder to spot axillary buds on anthurium, but you can see them. So there's one right here. Hello, can you see it? Is it even focused? Oh my gosh. So do you guys see that axillary bud right here? It's like kind of protruding out. Not all, you're gonna drive me crazy. Not all of them protrude that way, okay? Some of them are just like philodendron, where they'll be like more flush with the tissue of the stem. This one particularly is sticking out, so I'm probably going to be notching right here. And let's see if I can find another axillary bud. I mean, there are tons of axillary buds all around an anthurium stem. They're just a little bit harder to spot, but they're there, trust me. I can spot another one right here. Is like product showcase off? Why is everything blurry? There's another guy right there. So I'm going to just do the same thing. Sterilize my tools. Sometimes it takes a long time for these guys to wake up when you do notching. When I notched my fiddly fig, when I notched that one, it took like damn near a year for something to pop out of it. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna start right here. So I'm targeting this guy. If you don't focus, I'm gonna lose my mind. Again, I'm gonna go in maybe about 1/4 inch, a little bit more, and I'm gonna insert my plastic sheet like that. Then we're gonna do this guy right here. So I'm gonna go slightly below, press in. And insert. Easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh my god, I'm getting old. All right, friends, that's all I've got for you today. That's all I have to offer in the world of notching. I am not the notching queen. I just have done it a few times. I've had success with it I did it on a philodendron gloriosum. I've done it with a fiddly fig. I've done it with a Ficus elastica burgundy. I've done it with my Dracaena marginata, and actually I can show you some footage right now of the areas that I notched that has new growth popping out of it now. That one was highly successful. Okay, so this was a once glorious Dracaena marginata, but it succumbed to spider mites. You can see some of that like really speckly stuff on it, like the damage that it leaves behind. This thing has just been through it. So I chopped it back, and of course, like, you know, with any plant, once you chop it, it activates growth. So I chopped it right here. It woke up this guy. Chopped it right here, and it woke up this guy. This one was really not doing anything. It wasn't pushing out any growth from that stem, and I wanted it to have some dimension in terms of like height difference, so I didn't want to chop it down anymore. So what I ended up doing was just notching it. So you can see down here, I notched below, I notched right here. I did not notch up here, but it eventually sort of pushed out growth on its own, although it looks kind of warped and nasty. But yeah, the notching seemed to work on this stem, thankfully, and I didn't have to chop it back again. So now I'm really done. I'm really done. I have nothing else to show you. I have nothing else to give, but I hope that this was enough for you guys to maybe get the basics of notching in your belt, and maybe give you the, I don't know, the courage to try it. I know it can seem kind of scary. I think the first time that I ever did it with a fiddly fig, I was actually quite scared. And it was a little bit more, it was not a great experience the first time, because If you guys know, when you chop a fiddle leaf fig, it pushes out all of this white sticky sap. It gets everywhere, and so that was not fun. But I like notching non-fluidy plants a lot more. So doing it with anthurium, doing it with philodendron, it's way more of an enjoyable experience. You can do it with a monstera, so you guys won't be able to see it, but I have a monstera growing up there. The stem is getting pretty long. And there's a chance that at some point I'll want to notch it down at the bottom just to kind of fill it in, but we're not there yet. If I do end up doing it, I will show you, but it's really the same thing. Find that auxiliary bud, create an incision, and stick a sterile piece of plastic in there and just let it do its thing. Just wait a while. Also, make sure, of course, all the tools that you're using are sterile. You don't want to let any kind of bad bacteria into those wounds. I think that's really all. That's all there is to it. It's pretty simple. I mean, you guys saw. Like, I'm no genius. I'm no rocket scientist. I was like a solid 3.33 GPA throughout, I don't know, from like kindergarten to the time I graduated high school. So it's not difficult. I would recommend doing it on a plant that maybe you're not super fond of. Having a plant or a few plants that you can conduct experiments yourself is always going to be the best way to learn. The experience that you guys will get with your plants is not anything like a video I could make for you guys. So don't be scared, give it a try. Don't do it on your most prized plant. I will not be taking any responsibility for plants that go downhill because of an attempted notching, but don't be afraid, it's really not difficult. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I covered pretty much all of the basics. I feel like I did. If I didn't, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Either I will answer it or one of you lovely people will answer it. I feel like you guys are so good about talking to each other and replying to each other in the comments if I cannot be there, which I am not there like 90% of the time because I am awful, but I am trying to be better at it. I promise you, I am trying. So anyway, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it. If you didn't like it, I'm very sorry, but join the club of a million other people that hate my videos, and I will see you in the next one.